she's funny, she's smart, she craves chocolate every day, and she is the Greek goddess of comedy. Here is your host, Ellen Karis.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Karis's Comedy Corner. My name is Ellen Karis, and you are listening to the guest edition of Karis's Comedy Corner. I'm very excited about our guest today. I haven't seen her in decades, is what it feels like. But before we get to her, let's get to the ads. Of course, we always have to thank our sponsors. Baywalk Marketing is our first sponsor. Go to their website, baywalk.net, for all of your advertising and marketing needs. They can help you with any kind of a flyer. They can help you with the demographics of your business, and they are experts in the Greek community. Go to their website, hollywoodgreeks.com, to find out where all the Greek entertainment is, and hellenicfestivals.org to find out where there is a Greek festival near you. I'm telling you right now, 2021, we're having Greek festivals. Everybody's going to have a souvlaki and a piece of pasticcio. Don't worry, calm down. Our other sponsor is Select Flex. What is it? It's an orthotic. What's an orthotic? It's also called an insert. What do I do with that? I'm just answering all your questions. You put it in your shoe. Why? Because your feet are what starts from the ground up. That is what connects you to the earth. And you need that foot support. It helps you with your knees, your shins, your back, your hips, your entire alignment, your energy. Go to their website, selectflex.com, selectflex.com. There's a 30-second video that shows you why they're different, because there is an adjustability in the arch. You can adjust the arch to firm, extra firm, extra firm, depending on what your needs are. And for Karis Comedy Corner listeners, there's a 25% discount if you type in the code FAMILY25, FAMILY 25, because I like you guys a lot better than my real family. So just check them out. They're great. I have them in every shoe, every sneaker. I don't leave home without it. Sort of like my American Express card when I used to have one. All right. So thank you. I'm very excited. I always adored this woman. I hadn't seen her in a long time. We had a big gap of not seeing each other. And then lo and behold, fate brought us together, and I saw her in the back of a strip club, because where else would you not see, run into somebody, right, randomly, in Hackensack, New Jersey, no less, even though we both live in the city. So we're gonna get to all that, but she is a fantastic comedian, actress. If you go to her website, really a lot of great information, a speaker, an advocate. We want to talk to her about that. And also, I believe, a wedding officiant. So please give it up for my guest, the lovely Sharon Simon.
Thank you so much, Ellen.
First of all, you have such a great show business name. And I love your website, which usually we plug at the end of the show, but I'm going to say it right now. We'll do it at the end as well. But Simon Says Laugh. Like Simon said, like you could do Simon Says anything with that name. That is that is a great comedy name. So
thank you. Years ago, I was doing a show in Connecticut, and Craig Gass was on the show, and he assumed it was a made-up name, and when I said it wasn't, he didn't even believe me.
That's so funny. I could totally see that. So I met you. So I wanted to kind of have a little recollection. You and I have been doing comedy probably around the same amount of time, 20-ish years, give or take, gaps in between, whatever you want to call them. And maybe a little bit more. And I'm trying to think of the shows. It was like another lifetime ago. Boston Comedy Club was open, and there was like a restaurant on 46th Street that used to, like, steakhouse that used to do comedy. All these really random places. The Laugh Lounge downtown, and Leanne Connolly used to have a show. It was an all-woman show, which I give her so much credit. I don't believe she does comedy anymore, and I know she had moved to Florida, and I always loved her. She was always so sweet.
Oh yeah.
But she was pretty hot for doing comedy for a while, and I'll never forget. She had like one of the first women, kind of women shows in the city called 50 Tits, because she would have 25 women, and I feel like we did that show at the same time. If not, then we did it separately, because She asked every time she met a new female comic, regardless of what their experience was, she always asked them to come on the show, which I thought was really great. I stand up New York. I know we were on shows together. I just can't recollect where. The Lantern. Do you remember it all?
My guess is that we met during the Underground Comedy Festival.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Okay. All right.
Not positive though.
Yeah.
I had years when I was over medicated, and so it wiped out some of my memories. Some good, some I'm glad are gone, but there are some gaps in my memory. But I'm pretty sure I met you at the Underground Comedy Festival. I'm pretty sure I met you through Jim Andrinos.
You know what? All roads lead. I would say lead Jim Andrinos. You know what the problem is? I am looking at my neck and I'm getting completely distracted. I think that I really need to start doing this show in a turtleneck.
Your neck is beautiful.
Oh my God. All right. And by the way, these are reading glasses, so I don't really need them to see you, but it covers my face. Like I'm going to, this is where I'm at in my life. But anyway, all roads lead to Jim Andrinos. That's what I was trying to say. And for people that we've had Jim on the show many times, and Jim and I have been partners in crime in lots of projects. Matter of fact, we have a documentary coming up that I need to start editing. But Jim and George Saris,
yes,
and again, Greeks also find each other, put together a underground comedy festival in the early 2000s. And if you guys didn't get a chance to experience it, which a lot of people didn't, it really was very renegade at the time, because they were sort of blowing through the comedy clubs, although they had comedy clubs ultimately became involved a little bit as well, but they were producing, they were doing crazy, like the pajama show, because I remember I did that in Brooklyn in my pajamas, at midnight. So anyway, it was great. It was also a great way to meet other comics, because especially in the beginning, for a very long time, like we all have day jobs. So, there was no like office or human resources or lounge, you know what I mean? It's like, so it was a good way to meet. So that I totally remember. So where did you grow up? Where are you from exactly?
I'm actually sitting in my childhood home right now in North Bergen, New Jersey, because as you know, my father passed on, so my sister and I are doing business things that you have to do after that happens. So Hudson County. So I tell people North Bergen, and it can sometimes make people think I'm from Bergen County, which is very, very different than Hudson County. This is the county where Jersey City is, and Hoboken.
You know what? I didn't. First of all, I'm so sorry about your dad. And as we say in Greek, we say, "May his memory be eternal." So I'm so sorry. Very painful.
Thank you.
That you had written things, and all of that. Now the after of what goes with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I thought you were from. I kind of figured this area, tri-state maybe, but then there's a part of you that to me like could be in the Midwest. You know what I mean? Like you have a little bit of that look.
No, thank you. Thank you. I didn't look like anybody I grew up with, and I've always been like sort of feeling a little bit out of place where I'm from. I have a very deep love for California, and I've lived there a couple of times. But California to me, like, have you ever gone on an internet date with somebody the picture, he was super hot and he was so great on the phone, and then you meet him and there's just no person inside? That's somehow how I feel about California. Like, I always think it's going to be better than it is. So,
okay, you just said a whole bunch of things in one sentence. So first of all, I've been married for 12 years. I know you are married too. I want to get to that because I like one day I came over your Facebook and I'm like, oh, she's married. Oh, how awesome. And because married people want other people to be married. But I dated my husband for a long time. So like so I haven't had much of that kind of thing. But I did date and more, it was more about like my friend would like talk them up, and then I got there and then it was not what I thought. So hence me throwing up in a cab going through Central Park. But anyway, whatever. I drank too much, but whatever. But anyway, let's get back to California. So I was going to say California, which is very funny because that was another kind of thing more that I thought, but for some reason I just said Midwest. But I feel the same way. And because we're in show business, there's always that LA, New York thing, which I think that dynamic is changing a little bit. I guess it really depends on what you're looking for, but I feel the same way. I think as a matter of fact, I haven't been to LA in a while, pre-pandemic, 2019, not that long, no, 2018, not that long ago.
Yeah.
2018, no, 2019, not that long ago. But it was funny because when I was there, I was like annoyed, like I had to drive and park and I don't have meters and because it's not like, the travel is so different. And then recently I was looking at pictures of Malibu and the beach. And I was like, oh, you know what? I really want to go. But here's the thing. I've been to LA a million times. I never go to the beach. So it really is like a fantasy that you wind up having. That's really, that analogy. You really nailed it.
Thank you.
Exactly how I feel.
The thing that was the hardest for me is I'm a tomboy. I have so many male friends. And I found in LA that men and women aren't really friends like they are here.
Oh.
Even in the comedy business, not like they are here.
So you grew up in North Bergen. I know where North Bergen is, and it really is like a stone's throw from Manhattan. It's literally across the river. Like when you take the bus through the Holland Tunnel and it goes along up, if it's going toward the George Washington Bridge, it's like right there. You see the skyline. Actually, you guys have a great view of Manhattan.
Well, so I'm not on that street that's Boulevard East, but it's just a walk to go there and look at it. And it's stunning. It's the most beautiful view we have. It's what we.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it's so funny because, like you said, like the whole Jersey Girl thing. So where did you start out? Like, were you a child actress or something? I feel like you've been in the performance forever.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was on Saturday Night Live in a sketch at 9, and that's my biggest credit. So I peaked at 9.
Oh my God, that's so fun. So how did that happen? Like what?
Things are so different now than they were then, but I was a kid, I had a manager, I went on an audition, and it was the weirdest thing. I knew I got it. I knew I was going to get the job. And I was obnoxious because I was 9. So I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to say, yeah, I know I got this. But I did. I was in a sketch with Mary Gross in front of a tree. And I think that's part of what got me with my husband as quick as I did. So by the second date, he had found it. I hadn't seen it in years. I told him about it on our first date and on our second date. So of course I had to sleep with him. And I thought I ruined everything, but
it's like,
how can I not?
Yeah, he didn't save your life, it's like he did a Heimlich or something, but okay. But I guess that's equivalent. Okay. That's like, I am not, before we went on, I'm like, it's a no judgment zone. I am not judging. Trust me. That's stupid shit. That's especially because you want to marry him, but I get it. Okay, go ahead. No.
I had friends like, you ruined it. You're never going to hear from him again. Like, well, but what if the sex were bad and we let this go on forever and then we finally have sex and it's terrible and then I wasted all that time. So I'm like, just get it out of the way.
It was efficient. You were being efficient. You were time management. That's good.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a good way to look at having sex with somebody that, the second day. I like that. I like that. Not that I'll ever go back out there, but I'm just saying, just because if my husband left me, I'd be done. But just. Yeah. But your parents, because you're 9, right? So your parents had to play with all this.
My mother dragged me to audition. She took me to dance classes and singing classes. I took voice lessons. I still can't sing. Like, I don't have that talent at all. My parrot is the only one willing to hear me sing. If my husband hears me sing, he's just like, oh God. Like, So I like, it's funny, you can't teach talent. Like there are certain things we're born with that we're given. That I'm not gifted with a beautiful voice, but I was a great dancer back in the day, and went on auditions and acted, and I was funny even back then, and it was exciting.
Did you do commercials?
I never got booked on any. I auditioned for tons of commercials. I'm not a commercial person. Like I don't have there's something so, I guess, different about me that makes me unrelatable in that way. I went on so many auditions for commercials.
No, I've never booked a commercial either. To me, I think my thing is, I feel it's so funny, boy, because I feel the same way. Like I'm unrelatable. I feel the same way. But I think when I got into acting, we were still for commercials, especially, we were still in the blonde hair, blue eyed, Midwest, Iowa cornfield look. Blonde reads better on screen, all that. And then it did, when the tide has turned, because now it's very different. I mean, I'm sure people of, a couple of color might still complain, but I'm seeing a lot. I mean, I'm looking at it on purpose, because for myself, there's a lot of Latinos, there's a lot of mixed races, there's a lot of African. That's all great. That's all great. But for someone like me, when I was told I was ethnically ambiguous, and I'm like, I'm Greek, what does that mean? Like, I had no idea what that meant. So it skipped, like, I think when you're ethnically ambiguous, I think I had maybe a minute that I wasn't able to, and that's it. It went really quick. So it went from cornbread, blonde hair, blue eye to now, an Asian, a real specific race. So I hear you, I feel you, and I totally hear you. But as a kid though, although I could see, and then that was back then, not that you're old, but I'm just saying, like, because each decade really
not young.
a difference. But but back then. So then what happened? Like, did you go to college? Did you know what you wanted to do?
I went to Rutgers for acting and for theater. And that's what I produce now, because I learned how to produce. And that's like, it's basically, and I think you have this in you 100% as well, but not everyone does. Like, if you want to do it, just do it yourself and you'll have it. Otherwise, you're looking for people to help you do something. So I learned that ethic in college, more than I learned anything else. But I did go to Rutgers.
Wow, that's impressive. Rutgers is a great school. That's a great school. Yeah. And then you went out into the acting world, and
I went out into the acting world. I thought I was going to be a serious actress. I took myself very serious, and I never booked anything that wasn't comedy. A couple of like little student films where it was like I did like a little student, like little things, but everything that I got paid for was comedy. So
when did that happen? I mean, stand-up comedy per se.
No, that was before. I mean, that was before. I didn't go into stand-up comedy until 6 years after I graduated college. So I had actually completely given up on the business. I moved to LA the first time. I gave it my all, or at least I thought I gave it my all. It was the all that I was capable of at that time. And I came back here defeated, done. And then I started taking business classes. I was like, I'm going to be a person who makes money and goes to happy hour and goes on vacations. And then 9/11 happened. And I was like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And that's when I started to do stand-up.
Wow. I like super quick, but I still am a CPA. I mean, I still have
oh, wow.
Yeah. So I went to school for accounting. I have an MBA in finance. I worked in derivatives, blah, yada, yada. And then I started to take acting classes while I was working, because I was just like, okay, I'm done. Like, I want to do something creative. Obviously I had it in me, but I certainly wasn't going to tell my Greek parents, oh, I want to be an actress. Like, that wasn't flying. My mother was taking me to audition. She was taking me to church and Sunday school. But anyway, and then I took a class at the comic strip with DF Sweetler, who's still there. and started to find out about open mics and bringer shows and all this other stuff. And then a little while later, 9/11 happened, and then I didn't do anything for like a year, and then I missed it, and I was like, it has a purpose. This entertainment has a purpose. And what I liked about stand-up comedy, which probably I would assume you do too, because we seem to be very simpatico, is it's not, I don't want to say you can control your own destiny because there's so many more things you want to do, but you have a little more maneuver room. So for me, I found stuffing my headshot into an envelope and said, because this is how long ago it was.
Yeah.
Mailing it out and doing these lists and this agent this, and then these meet and greet nights that all you do is, continue to pay. And again, it is what it is. It's, I'm not putting it down. It's just a business and you just have to figure out if that's going to work for you. But I felt too that at least, this is what my thought, well, at least if I do stand up, then someone might see me and then I can get a sitcom that way. And then at least I'll be performing. Because at least you did so much as a child. Like I had zip, like I took business law, tax accounting, cost account. Like nobody cared about the cost of a widget. Like,
But that's great. I mean, you were able to take care of yourself financially. There were years where I really couldn't.
Yeah, I was. And that's probably, again, even when I look back, and I've been through my own mental journey about like, did I do this? Did I do that? But at the end of the day, I am very conservative in terms of like, I couldn't do what you did. I couldn't really jump into the deep end of the pool like that. I would, aside from I wasn't raised that way, but even if I was going to buck that system, I still wouldn't have felt comfortable. I always had to have that paycheck and whatever. And I still struggle with it. I mean, I still struggle with that. But anyway, so so it's the same thing though. It was like the 9/11 that was like, this is important. It's not just like a stupid thing. It's like, it's a job. And then as we go on, it's a job, man. It is a job. It is a career. It is a job. And if you're in this for a long time and it's just not happening or whatever, you got to really evaluate, once especially you pass like the 10-year mark, it's like, okay, am I doing this or not? I think, my opinion.
I think there's also a point where you say, why am I doing this? And what else could I do beside this that would make my life easier? Because this is a very, very hard life. And if you come up with, I just love doing it, I don't want to do anything else, I'm going to do it anyway, then you're a comic.
Right. So you've produced though tons of shows and it's so, I don't know if it's just like I didn't pay attention or whatever, but like all of a sudden I see you, not all of a sudden, but I've been seeing you for quite some time on tons of shows and producing them and being on them. And so I don't know what you were doing sort of in between. Like I said, we've had a gap. Yeah. So I don't know what was like happening. Obviously you got married. That was one. You became a wedding officiant. You've done other things and you became a speaker. So like, take us a little bit through like your road and your path. It's just
so I don't know about you, but I've given up so many times. I've tried to give up. I've tried to be like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to get a real job. So I got certified and got a job after meeting my husband, but before we were married. He's a nice guy. He's not like the guys we meet in comedy. Not that some of them aren't really wonderful guys. They're not the kind of guy that you can keep an apartment with who will lock themselves out or set the apartment on fire. Like he's somebody who can actually like build life. So I didn't think he'd want to deal with comedy. And I got a job as a peer specialist. And that is helping people with mental illness that are trying to get back on their feet. The first 2 years of it, I loved it. The second 2 years of it, I hated it, but I stayed anyway. During that time, I was doing comedy the entire time. But I got married, got on my husband's insurance, and my aunt, very close to me, my aunt died. And then my cousin, who was always my hero. Like I always looked up to my cousin. My cousin, Jay Frank, if you want to look him up, he was like a music mogul. Part of how we listen to music today has to do with what he created. So when he was active and working, like I met Jay-Z, he was just crazy, crazy successful. he got diagnosed with terminal cancer at 48 years old. And it was the same kind of thing all over again. And I realized I'm stable, I'm married, I have health insurance, my husband loves me. And I said to him, I was like, babe, I'm not happy. So either we're going to leave the city and try to have a baby as quick as we can, because we only have a minute left, or I'm going back into stand-up comedy like I did when I was an open micer with the skills I have now. And so that's why I'm more, and that happened 3 years ago. So since then, I've been pushing, producing, doing everything, getting myself writing. I make sure that I write a minimum of 3 hours a week of free writing beside everything else. And I became ordained as a minister. So I have a way of supplementing my income as well as doing comedy, which I love doing. I have weddings this time of year. I have weddings all weekend. I add a little bit of humor in it. It's a great way to make money. People are happy. It's like working as a peer specialist. I saw people at their worst. I saw the ugliest things. I saw the worst things. Now I save that part of my life just for family. I don't have to look at it on other people. And then I spend my other time at events that are happy.
Well, I think you've pretty much licked the map, the good roadmap, because you're very honest, and I think it's just really incredible. And I get the vibe from you that you're at the point where it's like, I'm on this journey and I'm just going to try to take the best road. And if I get to that end of the road or get to that road and that's the dirt road, then I'm going to turn around and go back and I'm going to go down another road, and I think that that's the best that we can do to try to keep ourselves balanced. And you are a speaker, and it's generally about mental health. You want to tell us a little bit about that and what you do there, since we're sort of like on this topic?
So I live with borderline personality disorder. I run a support group for people living with borderline personality disorder. It is one of the most stigmatized illnesses in the world. Social workers hear me say that I live with it and they get uncomfortable and afraid of me, because there's all this false information out there about it, that people with borderline stalk, people with borderline are gonna, boil the bunny, like that movie, The Fatal Attraction. She was diagnosed with that. So I've been running this support group for 9 years now, and nobody's ever done that to me. Like, I've dealt with lots and lots of people who live with it. So I do some private coaching with people who live with borderline on how to, because everybody who has this condition has extremely strong emotions that come on extremely quick. That's not going to change. You're still going to have strong emotions that come on quick, but you can learn how to live with it. You can learn how not to scream at your husband, even though you feel like you want to. You can learn how to not, so that you don't cause a problem. So I give lectures on the journey that took me to where I got. And I also work with the crisis intervention training for the police, so that the police have a better idea of how to approach people who are having mental breakdowns in the city.
Okay, so what was the moment that you decided that you wanted to get into this and you went to go get that training?
So I was a member of the group. I had gone through DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. I'd gone through 2 years of it. I had also created some skills that help me live in my own life, my daily life, little things that I do that make life easier. And I was a member of this group called Life on the Borderline, and the woman was leaving. And so I was like, you know what? I'll take it over. And so since I was taking it over and I was trying to figure out what I could do to make a living, I was already working as a peer specialist in that arena, and getting certified in New York City is free. So I got myself a job. I did my hours of service so that I could become certified. And it was in combination with everything else that was going on, me meeting my husband and realizing that I wanted to bring my portion of rent and all of that to the table. It just seemed like the right thing to do. I actually, though, make more money now not working than I did when I was working. That's how bad it pays.
You make more money now as a counselor, you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
I make more between being a wedding officiant, being a comic, and doing private speaking gigs. I make more money now as a freelancer than I did when I had a full-time job.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. Interesting. That the paradigm that we used to live by with the paycheck and the job, I mean, is not necessarily always the right answer. If it's not making you happy. But when you were young, so when was this diagnosed exactly? And what was it like then? You must have struggled when you were a kid when they really didn't know.
So, I mean, we can go there if you want, but we're going to go a little dark just so that you're aware if I explain this. So, I got diagnosed late. I wish I had been diagnosed earlier, but nobody thought, they just thought I was spoiled and acting out. When I turned, right after I was on Saturday Night Live, I met a boy from 2 towns over who was Jewish and a little older than me and a lot bigger than me. And because there were no Jewish people in my town and he was so dynamic, my mother forced me to be in a full-on relationship with him. He was my everything. I had to drop absolutely everything and do everything he wanted. And he was emotionally, physically abusive. His perspective was he was gay. And at that time, being gay meant that at school he was being tortured. So he would come back and I was his like play toy to dress up and try to pretend that he was something that he wasn't. And the illness developed in those years. And because what was happening to me was abusive and I wanted out of it.
We're going to pick it back up. We had a little technical difficulty. I am actually sitting on my floor in the hallway in front of the extender. And it was perfect timing because Sharon was saying something very intense and very personal. And because I guess, God knows we're comics and he doesn't want us to, get too serious.
Like, this has just still been much. Like, I just.
Oh my gosh. All right. So I think we're talking about mental health. We're talking about Sharon's situation. And so we're going to pick it back up again. When she was telling us, the question I had asked was her diagnosis something that they knew about when she was a child and how it sort of all transpired and came to the surface?
So tell you again, like what I went over before?
You could just condense it if you want. There was a boy that was involved and
so I'm not from a neighborhood where there's any other Jewish people. It made my mother very anxious. At the age of 9, I met a boy that was a little bit older, a few towns over, and I was forced into a full relationship with him, and I was forced to keep everything a secret. He was very emotionally and verbally abusive. He was gay, and he was using the situation to hide the fact that he was gay. And that's where I developed the behaviors that were part of borderline, but I wasn't allowed to seek treatment because I had to hide everything that was going on. After that, I went into therapy on and off for post-traumatic stress disorder, but that just made me sicker and sicker and sicker because with PTSD, they want you to relive your old experiences, and that it was not healthy for me. So I was eventually hospitalized and I got into dialectical behavioral therapy, which is amazing and absolutely changed my life.
Wow. I have, my heart, is aching for that story. But me personally, I'm a spiritual / religious and I believe in God. And I do believe that we're all put on this earth for a reason.
Yeah.
And I feel like your situation, I mean, look at all of the people that you're helping, which is, a lot of people like yourself that are now mentors. Obviously, you have gone through it. I mean, that's really how it all comes about, is that you want to help someone or you've come over to the other side and you can also empathize and sympathize with it. There's so much about, we say even the term mental illness is like, it's just like, we need to change it because it sounds
it sounds like the 70s, you know, it's
Yeah.
and all of that. And again, and I'm not cancel culture and I'm not like super politically correct or anything, but my point is that almost everybody, okay, maybe there's a small slice of people, adults and kids, obviously, we're going through something, and whether it's some of it is lasting and it's a lifetime, some of it's during periods, whatever it is called life. And you know, we talk about anxiety and depression all the time. I don't even know sometimes what the names are anymore. Sometimes I don't even know if that matters. It's just like it's happening and we need to figure out a way to get through it as best we possibly can.
Yeah.
So you know, you and I live in New York City. We have an incredibly bad homeless crisis that nobody is addressing. We've got crime going up, and we've always had crime and we've always had homeless, but it's just that now it's really exacerbated. And it's not just here, it's all over the world. I mean, but we'll just focus on the United States right now. I'm far from an expert, but you know, putting homeless people in a building next to, you know, in the middle of a residential neighborhood is not the answer. In a hotel, these people need care.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some of them are dangerous, and then they're a danger to other people. So, you know, again, not to go off the rails, you know, too much, but coming back to my term of mental illness and it's got a bad stigma. It's like people need assistance, people need help, and it needs to be offered. And you talked about insurance, you kept saying like, I have my husband now.
Yeah. Well, that was a huge thing. I wasn't leaving the job until I was insured.
Don't. And again, if you're in your 20s, this probably means nothing to you. But you know, when you start to get a little bit older, and it's not like you have like a million ailments all of a sudden. But so like therapy and the insurance company don't get along, because according to the insurance company, and if you have good insurance, maybe they'll pay a couple of grand, maybe, you know, they'll pay for the prescriptions, which is interesting, because that might be part of it, but it's not the answer. But most insurance companies are at a network, you know, they do this whole like song and dance. They just want to do like the conventional medicine, and that's still going on, because I'm very holistic, but they would never cover holistic, you know, practitioners and kinesiology. And, you know, to them, that's like, you know, that's just junk. So there's something to be said about that. And obviously we're crisis. We've been in a crisis for a long time. There's just watch the news. Okay. Just whatever it is, whoever it is, whatever color it is, there's an issue.
Yeah.
So I think talking about it and again, you doing what you're doing, whatever small section of the population that you can help is amazing. It's just amazing. I love it.
When people are diagnosed with borderline personality disorder on paper, insurance covers nothing. They have to be diagnosed as something else in addition, like depression or anxiety, because borderline is not considered an illness of the body and the brain. It's a condition of behaviors. Right. So it doesn't get covered. It's crazy.
Right. So do you talk about any of this in stand-up at all?
So I do have like a couple of off the cuff jokes that I tell here and there, but I have a set that I do when I'm doing a mental health show that's different. Right. Because some of the jokes taken out of context in a cancel culture come off uncomfortable unless you know why you're there. Mm-hmm. So I save those jokes just for that.
Mm-hmm. And so what do you do to take care of yourself?
That's been so hard through the pandemic. And that's because of what I like to do. I like to swim and I like to go into steam rooms. Like I love steam rooms. They are so good for my head, and they're still closed. They're still closed. Like I'm just waiting for them to open up. I am very careful in terms of my dealings with people that are toxic to me. Like, I love my mother-in-law, but she can be toxic to me at times. So I'm careful in my interactions with her. And I write gratitude lists, and I write lists of things that I love about myself to keep myself on track. The past 6 months with having my father in the hospital and being on my own in a good deal of ways, I had to let go of self-care. I'm just coming back into it now. And it's amazing how different I feel. Amazing.
I mean, it is important for everybody.
Yes.
And I listen, I try to do all of that, work out. I also love, that's so funny. I love steam rooms. I love the dry heat. I was working out in person. Now I do stuff online. And I do it for two reasons. One, my head, absolutely. I love to do like jump around, and I'm like a junkie when it comes to that. And also I have the short Greek fat woman gene. So I have to keep that at bay, because then that'll put me over the edge. But I like where we used to go, where I worked out, they had the dry heat, and I loved it, just toxins out of you. I mean, in short, it is mind, body, soul. People don't get that. They think it's just, they think that these things are separate. It's all, even with like disease. That's why like conventional medicine sometimes makes me crazy. Well, it's only my lungs. Well, your lungs are attached to the rest of your body. Like, have you ever talked to anybody that's a smoker? It's only lungs. It's like, really? It's not going anywhere. I can't believe you. Because you're a lawyer and you're really smart, and I can't believe that just came out of your mouth, because that is an actual conversation that I've had with a cousin. But and then as far as toxicity and people, I mean, that's a hard one. And again, I think we all struggle with that as well. And listen, even people that we love in our families, and like you said, you love your mother-in-law, but you have to, like when I used to go to therapy back in the day, when I had excess money to go, I remember she would always talk about boundaries, and I'm like, which part of being Greek did you not understand? Because it's a cultural thing. But I have a situation going on in my family, which is very upsetting to me. It has nothing to do with me per se in terms of the conflict, but it does, because I'm part of the family, and I think about this almost 24/7. And it is absolutely holding me back from having a full day, whatever that day that I choose, to do. And so I get it. So all that to say too, like, we all have our thing. We all have our stuff that we're trying to navigate. And then it's stupid. I can't want to say the word pandemic anymore. I can't stand it. I'm over it. We're all over it, not just me. But I know so much has been talked about people that do have mental health, because like, I'm confident I'll get through it. I mean, as long as, God forbid, I don't, like, I'll get through it. And I have my husband, and and you have your husband. Some people are really struggling, and they're alone. I had somebody, I won't say his name, and he's a comic, and he's very good, and he's very funny, very smart. But I remember he was like, I'm single. He goes, and this was, we were like 9 months in, but 6 months into, and he goes, it's, so that those first, like, now we're obviously getting out and starting. The first 6 months, you were like, no. And he's really lonely. And so, God, I mean, when we come out of the other side, hopefully we'll be stronger, but it does need to be just talked about. And it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Nobody's, we're all wired differently.
Yeah. I grew up being told I was oversensitive. And I think at that time, all highly sensitive people were told they were oversensitive. And being sensitive is a thing to be celebrated. And my sensitivity is why I'm good at so many of the things that I'm good at. That's
an artist. I mean, that's an artist personality. I mean, instinct and sensitive. I completely agree with that. So what have you ever brought your story to the stage or have thought, I mean, when I mean stage, I mean,
Yeah.
like a one woman show.
It's on the burner. It's like one of the many things that are like half done.
Right.
And I'm not, as I'm doing, like, I have a show tonight. I have a big show tonight. I have one tomorrow. I have a wedding Saturday. Like all of that has to be completely done and secure before I go to tackling the things that are on the burner. And I actually went to the beach yesterday for the first time in 4 months. I just went somewhere with a friend.
We have to give ourselves permission to do that. And because we're in the business that we're in, I think you'll agree with me on this. We feel like if we're not at our laptop, emailing somebody, doing something, reaching out, blah, 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 posting something on Instagram, that we're not working. And I completely, and that definitely, causes anxiety. Absolutely. Because then sometimes it's hard to relax and you have to really just give yourself permission and know that down day, as you will help you the next day when you get back into the saddle. So I know it's hard. We did not pick anything easy, but it'll happen for you obviously when it happens, but I do hope that you do it, because I think that you will bring a really great perspective. This is what I do love about life, is that we all bring something different to the table. And this is what I do love about comedy. I hate when you get that feedback of, Susie Essman did that. Like I get that, you're like this one. You're like, no, I'm Ellen. Okay. I'm Ellen. I'm, this years old. I grew up with these parents. I live this. I hate that, just that typecasting. And what's about marriage? Well, who does? I mean, so half the population married. Like, what does that mean? So it's very weird. That's why I like comedy, because everybody brings their own perspective to it, and that's another thing that attracted me to it. It's like, well, I can just, bring everybody's got their own twist. So for your story is definitely, different and will help people for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you have in terms of comedy shows? And do you have like an ongoing show that you do once a week? Or?
Yeah. I have a couple. So I would love to have you on very soon. Greenwich Village Comedy Club every Wednesday at 7:30. Simon Says Laugh Comedy. Every Wednesday at 7:30. And also in New Jersey, Flamingos every Thursday night. Back of a strip club, as you would expect me to be.
So we didn't fill that in. So actually, I had reached out to Rich Carucci, who was a comic, and he told me he was doing that in the summer. And again, just to give kudos to people like Rich, like yourself, right? We're in the pandemic. Not me, but Rich and Sharon want to put on a show. I love necessity is the mother of invention. I love, because that's how America was built. Okay, that's how America was built. And so Rich, or you guys found this space.
Rich found it.
I didn't realize you were from Jersey too. In the back, it's a strip club called Flamingos on Route 46. I mean, I have relatives in Bergen, so I'm very familiar. Not with the Flamingos, but actually, what I'm familiar with was the diner, the Greek diner that's like right on the way to Flamingo. But they took the parking lot. Okay, the parking lot. It was the summer. It was nice out, and you guys had great crowds, and you did it like every Saturday night or something. It cracked me up so much. I just loved it. So anyway, I came out and Rich said, Sharon's doing this with me. And it was funny because when I started, I'm like, oh, Sharon Simon, my God, I haven't seen her in so long, other than like a Facebook, And I went out and I walked through the club and it was like, oh God. And it was early. I got there, it was light outside, but the girls started coming in. and they're walking by me, and I'm like, if I only had an ass like that, I would not have been an accountant. I mean, again, not quite sure how it went with the Greeks, but boy, it was very funny. So anyway, you guys, great show. You do it.
Thank you.
And I'm so proud of you. I really am.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's great. Bringing comedy everywhere. Like you bring your wisdom, to speaking engagements, and you bring your humor to weddings, which I think is great. So yeah, that's great. Yeah, at any time. And tell me anything else you have on the burner.
Well, yeah, just I have a show, like a dating show called The Mating Game. Broadway Comedy Club promotes it for me. So it's kind of like the dating game, but way dirtier and with comics. And that's online. So just go on my TikTok and my Instagram are both Simon_says laugh. Everything on Facebook is Sharon Simon, but everything else is Simon Says Laugh or Simon_says laugh. And I'm constantly doing shows. I'm constantly promoting them. And that's it.
I'm so proud of you. I think it's so fantastic. I want to say one more thing. I remember one of the times I ran into you, and this is a long time ago, was at a coffee shop, a place that sold coffee beans.
The Sensuous Bean?
Which one?
The Sensuous Bean. I've worked there on and off part-time throughout like my entire adult life.
The Sensuous Bean. Yes, yeah. I was trying to think of and I was thinking about
best coffee in the city.
That's so. So this was a really long time ago. I think I was living on the West Side, which was like forever ago. And I walked in and we started, and I'm like, Sharon? And they had great coffee. Is it still there?
Yeah, it's still there.
I have to go in because actually, it's funny. A few years ago, I had bought electric coffee pot. So I actually do buy whole beans now. Like for years, I used like the Keurig or whatever. And I'm like, no. So it's funny. Next time I go, I should go there. But anyway, that's where that's what stuck out of my mind. Oh my gosh. So funny. So funny.
Yeah. But yeah, with the Keurig, if you're ever interested, you can actually buy a refillable cup.
I did do that. It's
done that. Okay.
You know what? That thing gets cloggy and well, but I'm a snob. I'm a coffee snob when it comes to
You should get a Chemex then. Those are the most beautiful coffee. You boil the water and you pour it into the Chemex, and the pot itself looks like a work of art. It's glass and it's got like curves.
Chemex.
Chemex.
Oh, I'm going to go on Amazon now after. Oh, that's great. All right. Well, listen, keep in touch, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much. I'd love to be on one of your shows. That would be awesome. Or another one of your shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so glad we did this.
Me too.
I'm so glad. It makes me so happy. All right. Please check out Sharon. It's Sharon Simons. I laugh at the link. Simon Says Laugh. Very, very funny. And if you've got a wedding that you're doing outside, wherever, tri-state, wherever, she's your girl. And obviously any speaking engagements on mental health, absolutely. We look forward to her solo show. I'm going to put that out there in the universe. We need it badly. And thank you so much for doing this. My name is Ellen Karis. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Check Comics. Facebook, Ellen Karis Greek Goddess Comedy. My website, ellenkaris.com, where you'll find this podcast and all the other ones that we have been doing for 6 years. Last week was our 6-year anniversary, so 7 seasons, as we call it. We like to pretend we're on TV, but we're not. Anyway, it's been a great run, and we get to have great guests like Sharon. So thank you very much, everybody. Till next time. Bye.